in the annals of British history, few figures embody resilience and grace quite like Elizabeth Bowes-Lyon. Born into Scottish aristocracy, Elizabeth would become more than just a queen. She would serve as a cornerstone for her family and nation during some of the most tumultuous times of the 20th century. Her journey from the serene halls of Glamis Castle to the heart of the British monarchy is a testament to unwavering courage, compassion, and a deep sense of duty. Elizabeth's story is one of transformation, not only her own but also that of her husband, King George VI, and their daughter, Queen Elizabeth II. Through her steadfast support, she bolstered her husband as he faced the challenges of a reluctant kingship and a world at war. Her warmth and fortitude endeared her to the British people, earning her the title the Queen Mother in her later years, a role she embraced with vigor and grace. For Americans, Elizabeth Bowes-Lyon's tale resonates as a story of leadership in the face of adversity. Her life serves as a vivid reminder of the quiet strength that can guide nations and families through their darkest hours. As we delve into her life, from her early years to her enduring legacy, we uncover the extraordinary influence of a woman who steadied a kingdom and shaped the course of modern royalty. Elizabeth Angela Marguerite Bowes-Lyon was born on August 4, 1900, into a world that straddled tradition and modernity. Her family, the Bowes-Lyons, were prominent members of the Scottish aristocracy, with deep roots in the land and its history. Born in London but raised primarily at Glamis Castle in Scotland, Elizabeth's early years were steeped in the rhythms of rural life, the grandeur of ancient estates, and the expectations that came with her noble lineage. The Bowes-Lyon family was known not only for its status, but also for its sense of duty and commitment to service. Elizabeth's father, Claude Bowes-Lyon, the 14th Earl of Strathmore and Kinghorn, was a dignified yet approachable figure who instilled in his children the importance of humility and compassion. Her mother, Cecilia Cavendish Bentinck, was a woman of strong character and deep faith, traits that would leave a lasting impression on young Elizabeth. Life at Glamis Castle was idyllic but disciplined. The castle, a sprawling and storied structure with turrets and thick stone walls, had been the Bowes-Lyon family's ancestral home for centuries. Its halls echoed with tales of Scottish legends and royal visits, creating an environment that was both enchanting and grounding. Elizabeth thrived in this environment, displaying an early charm and wit that endeared her to all who met her. She was particularly close to her siblings, forming lifelong bonds with her brothers and sisters. Elizabeth's education was tailored to prepare her for the responsibilities of her social standing. She was taught by governesses who emphasized history, literature, and languages, ensuring she was well-versed in the cultural and intellectual traditions of her class. Yet, she was not a mere product of privilege. From an early age, Elizabeth demonstrated an innate ability to connect with people, regardless of their status. Her warm demeanor and genuine interest in others would later become defining traits of her role as queen. The First World War marked a turning point in Elizabeth's otherwise serene childhood. As the war broke out in 1914, Glamis Castle transformed into a convalescent home for wounded soldiers. Elizabeth, then a teenager, witnessed firsthand the devastating effects of war. She assisted her family in caring for the soldiers, writing letters for them, and providing companionship during their recovery. This period not only deepened her empathy, but also solidified her resolve to serve others, a quality that would define her public life. Amid the turmoil of war, Elizabeth also experienced personal tragedy. Her elder brother, Fergus Bowes-Lyon, was killed in action during the Battle of Loos in 1915. The loss was a heavy blow to the family, and Elizabeth's sense of responsibility grew as she sought to support her grieving parents and siblings. These formative experiences instilled in her a profound understanding of sacrifice and resilience. As the war ended and the world sought to rebuild, Elizabeth entered society as a young woman of exceptional grace and poise. She quickly became one of the most admired figures in British aristocracy. Her charm was matched by a sharp intellect and a mischievous sense of humor, qualities that set her apart from many of her contemporaries. Despite her popularity, Elizabeth remained grounded, a testament to her upbringing and the values instilled by her parents. By the early 1920s, Elizabeth had captured the attention of Prince Albert, Duke of York, the second son of King George V. The prince, known affectionately as Bertie, was immediately drawn to Elizabeth's vivacity and warmth. However, their courtship was far from straightforward. Elizabeth, conscious of the demands and restrictions of royal life, initially declined Bertie's proposal. She valued her independence and was hesitant to trade the relative freedom of her current life for the intense scrutiny and duty that came with being part of the royal family. Bertie, however, was persistent. His love for Elizabeth was unwavering, and he admired her strength and individuality. Over time, Elizabeth came to recognize Bertie's genuine affection and the potential for their partnership to thrive. She saw in him a man of quiet determination and deep kindness, qualities that would later define his reign as king. In 1923, Elizabeth accepted Bertie's proposal, setting the stage for one of the most enduring royal partnerships in modern history. Their engagement was met with widespread approval, and their wedding on April 26, 1923, was a moment of celebration for a nation still recovering from the scars of war. Elizabeth's decision to lay her bridal bouquet on the tomb of the unknown warrior at Westminster Abbey was a poignant gesture that resonated deeply with the public. It was a symbol of her understanding of collective grief and her commitment to honoring those who had sacrificed their lives. Elizabeth's early years, marked by privilege, duty, and personal loss, laid the foundation for the extraordinary role she would play as a royal consort. Her experiences at Glamis Castle, her service during the war, and her empathetic nature shaped her into a figure of immense strength and compassion. These qualities would not only endear her to the British people, but also equip her to support her husband and guide the monarchy through some of its most challenging times. Elizabeth Bowes-Lyon's journey from Scottish aristocrat to a member of the British royal family was anything but conventional. Her courtship with Prince Albert, Duke of York, began in the early 1920s, a time when the monarchy was seeking to modernize its image in the wake of the First World War. Yet Elizabeth's initial reaction to the Duke's interest was far from enthusiastic. Prince Albert, known within the family as Bertie, was the second son of King George V and Queen Mary, while his older brother Edward, the Prince of Wales, dazzled the public with his charm and charisma. Bertie was more reserved. He had struggled with a severe speech impediment since childhood, which made public appearances a source of anxiety. Despite his shy nature, Bertie was captivated by Elizabeth from the moment they met. Her vivacious personality, intelligence, and ability to connect with people effortlessly stood in stark contrast to his own insecurities. Elizabeth, however, was acutely aware of the demands that royal life would impose upon her. When Bertie proposed for the first time in 1921, she declined, citing her reluctance to surrender her independence and embrace the highly structured world of the monarchy. Bertie, deeply in love, was heartbroken but undeterred. He sought advice from his mother, Queen Mary, who encouraged him to be patient and persistent. For Elizabeth, the idea of joining the royal family was fraught with concerns. She had witnessed the pressures placed upon those in the royal circle, particularly women, and was hesitant to enter a life where her every move would be scrutinized. Yet, over the course of the following year, Bertie's sincerity and devotion began to break down her reservations. His letters to Elizabeth were filled with heartfelt expressions of love, revealing a side of the prince that the public rarely saw. In a bold move for the time, Bertie proposed a second time in 1922, only to face another refusal. Elizabeth still harbored doubts about the constraints of royal life. Her family, while supportive, respected her autonomy and did not pressure her to accept Bertie's proposal. Instead, they encouraged her to follow her heart. Meanwhile, Bertie confided in his father, King George V, about his determination to win Elizabeth's hand. The king, impressed by Elizabeth's character, approved of her as a potential daughter-in-law and even suggested that Bertie propose a third time. When Bertie made his final proposal in 1923, it was Elizabeth's realization of the depth of his love and her growing affection for him that ultimately changed her mind. She saw in Bertie a man of great inner strength, kindness, and moral character, qualities that resonated deeply with her own values. She agreed to marry him, setting in motion a partnership that would become one of the most enduring and consequential in royal history. Their engagement was met with widespread enthusiasm from both the royal family and the public. Elizabeth was seen as a breath of fresh air, a commoner by royal standards, yet possessing the grace and poise befitting a princess. Her Scottish roots and approachable demeanor endeared her to people across the United Kingdom, particularly in Scotland, where her family was well known and respected. The wedding took place on April 26, 1923, at Westminster Abbey, and it was a landmark event in more ways than one, in a gesture that reflected her empathy and understanding of public sentiment. Elizabeth chose to lay her bridal bouquet at the tomb of the unknown warrior in the abbey. This act honored the countless soldiers who had lost their lives in the First World War, many of whom were never identified. The gesture was profoundly symbolic, resonating with a nation still healing from the scars of conflict. The ceremony itself was a grand yet intimate affair, attended by members of the royal family, foreign dignitaries, and representatives of British society. Elizabeth's choice of a simple yet elegant gown reflected her personal style, understated but impeccable. Her radiant smile and evident joy captured the hearts of millions, and newspapers across the country hailed the union as a hopeful symbol of renewal. After the wedding, Elizabeth and Bertie embarked on their life together as the Duke and Duchess of York. They settled into a relatively quiet existence compared to the more glamorous lifestyle of Bertie's older brother, Edward. Elizabeth quickly became a pillar of support for Bertie, helping him navigate the demands of royal duties while encouraging him to overcome his speech difficulties. She played a key role in building his confidence, often accompanying him to public engagements and offering gentle reassurance. In private, their marriage was marked by a deep bond of mutual respect and affection. Elizabeth's sense of humor and lively spirit balanced Bertie's more introspective nature, creating a harmonious partnership. Their shared commitment to family and duty would later prove to be an invaluable asset as they faced unforeseen challenges. As the Duchess of York, Elizabeth's charm and warmth made her immensely popular with the public. She took on a variety of charitable roles, championing causes related to children's welfare, education, and healthcare. Her ability to connect with people from all walks of life became one of her defining traits, earning her the nickname the Smiling Duchess. Elizabeth's marriage to Bertie marked the beginning of a journey that would take her from the relative obscurity of the aristocracy to the center stage of global history. Her decision to marry Bertie was not merely a romantic one. It was an act of courage and faith, rooted in the belief that their partnership could weather any storm. In the years to come, Elizabeth's steadfast support and unwavering dedication would prove essential, not only to her husband's personal growth, but also to the stability of the monarchy itself. Their early years together laid the foundation for the remarkable roles they would play during some of the most turbulent times of the 20th century. From the challenges of a reluctant kingship to the trials of World War II, Elizabeth and Bertie's marriage would become a testament to the power of love, resilience, and partnership in the face of adversity. In December 1936, Elizabeth Bowes-Lyon's life changed forever when her husband, Prince Albert, known affectionately as Bertie, unexpectedly ascended the throne as King George VI. The event was precipitated by the abdication of his older brother, Edward VIII, a crisis that shook the monarchy to its core. For Elizabeth, this was not only a seismic shift in her personal life, but also the beginning of her most consequential role, Queen Consort of the United Kingdom and the Dominions. The abdication crisis had its roots in Edward VIII's determination to marry Wallis Simpson, an American divorcee. This union was deemed unacceptable by the Church of England, of which the monarch was the supreme governor, as well as by the government and much of British society. When Edward chose love over duty and stepped down, Bertie reluctantly took on the crown. The transition was fraught with tension and uncertainty, as Bertie struggled to reconcile his new responsibilities with his long-standing insecurities. For Elizabeth, the prospect of becoming queen was equally daunting. She had envisioned a quieter life as the Duchess of York, supporting Bertie in his secondary royal role. The crown had always been Edward's burden to bear, and Elizabeth had never imagined that she and Bertie would be thrust into the spotlight as the central figures of the monarchy. Despite her private reservations, Elizabeth rose to the occasion with characteristic poise and determination. Elizabeth's support was instrumental in helping Bertie navigate the emotional and psychological challenges of his sudden kingship. Public speaking had always been a source of immense anxiety for Bertie due to his speech impediment, and the weight of the throne only amplified this pressure. Elizabeth worked tirelessly to bolster his confidence, drawing on her natural empathy and her understanding of his struggles. She encouraged him to continue his sessions with Lionel Logue, the Australian speech therapist who had been helping Bertie manage his stammer. Elizabeth's unwavering faith in Bertie's ability to lead became a source of strength for him during this pivotal time. The coronation of King George VI and Queen Elizabeth on May 12, 1937, marked the official beginning of their reign. Held at Westminster Abbey, the ceremony was imbued with both tradition and a sense of renewal. Elizabeth's presence as queen consort brought warmth and approachability to the monarchy, which had been perceived as somewhat distant under previous reigns. Her radiant smile and calm demeanor reassured a nation still grappling with the aftershocks of the abdication crisis. Behind the scenes, however, Elizabeth faced her own challenges. The responsibilities of queenship were vast, encompassing not only public appearances and state functions but also the symbolic role of uniting the nation. Elizabeth understood the gravity of her position and approached it with a sense of duty that reflected her upbringing. She quickly established herself as a key figure within the royal household, offering advice and guidance to Bertie while managing the expectations of court life. As queen, Elizabeth's natural charisma and ability to connect with people became invaluable assets. She embarked on numerous public engagements, often visiting hospitals, schools, and charities to demonstrate the monarchy's commitment to the welfare of the people. Her tours were meticulously planned to include regions and communities that had previously felt overlooked, further solidifying her reputation as a queen of the people. Elizabeth's approachable demeanor and genuine interest in the lives of ordinary citizens endeared her to the public, helping to restore faith in the monarchy during a period of uncertainty. The international stage also required Elizabeth's attention. In 1939, she and George VI undertook a historic tour of Canada and the United States, the first time a reigning British monarch had visited North America. The tour was a resounding success, with the royal couple receiving an enthusiastic welcome wherever they went. Elizabeth's charm and grace left a lasting impression on President Franklin D. Roosevelt and the American public, strengthening the bond between the two nations on the eve of World War II. The visit was more than ceremonial. It was a strategic move to secure goodwill and potential support from the United States, a nation that would later play a crucial role in the Allied victory. Elizabeth's role as queen consort was not without its personal sacrifices. The demands of royal life often meant long periods away from her daughters, Princess Elizabeth, later Queen Elizabeth II, and Princess Margaret. Despite this, Elizabeth maintained a close relationship with her children, instilling in them the values of duty, compassion, and resilience. She was particularly attentive to Princess Elizabeth, preparing her for the responsibilities she would one day inherit as queen. Throughout the early years of their reign, Elizabeth and George VI worked tirelessly to rebuild the image of the monarchy. The abdication crisis had cast a shadow over the institution, and the public needed reassurance that the crown remained a unifying force for the nation. Together, they presented a picture of stability and dedication, qualities that would become even more critical as the world edged closer to war. Elizabeth's adaptability and strength during this period were remarkable. She had entered the role of queen consort under extraordinary circumstances. Yet she managed to transform those challenges into opportunities to modernize and humanize the monarchy. Her ability to connect with people, her steadfast support for her husband, and her unwavering sense of duty laid the groundwork for a reign that would endure through some of the most turbulent years in British history. As the storm clouds of World War II began to gather, Elizabeth and George VI would soon face their greatest test as leaders and as symbols of hope for their nation. The reluctant queen consort had already demonstrated her capacity for resilience, but the trials ahead would demand even greater strength and resolve. Together, they would stand as steadfast figures in the face of unprecedented adversity, embodying the courage and unity that would carry Britain through its darkest hours. As King George VI assumed the throne in 1936, one of his most daunting challenges was his struggle with a severe speech impediment. Public speaking was an unavoidable duty of the monarch, and the pressure of addressing his people as their king was almost paralyzing for Bertie. This challenge, however, became one of the defining stories of his reign, with Elizabeth playing an essential role as both a supporter and motivator. Bertie's speech impediment had plagued him since childhood, exacerbated by the strict upbringing and high expectations placed upon him as a prince. His stammer was not just a personal struggle, it was a public one, amplified by the responsibilities of his position. With the advent of radio, the king's voice became a direct line to his subjects, making his ability to communicate effectively more critical than ever. Elizabeth, understanding the immense pressure on her husband, worked tirelessly to help him overcome this obstacle. She was not merely a passive observer. She became an active participant in his journey to gain confidence and control over his speech. It was Elizabeth who discovered Lionel Logue, an Australian speech therapist with unconventional methods but a reputation for achieving remarkable results. Despite the unconventional nature of Logue's techniques, Elizabeth persuaded Bertie to meet with him, planting the seeds for a transformative partnership. Lionel Logue's approach was groundbreaking for the time. He believed in addressing both the physical mechanics of speech and the psychological barriers that exacerbated Bertie's stammer. The therapy sessions were often intense and required great patience, but Logue's unwavering belief in Bertie's potential was a source of encouragement. Elizabeth played a critical role in these sessions, often attending alongside her husband to provide moral support. Her presence created a sense of safety for Bertie, allowing him to confront his fears in a supportive environment. Elizabeth's faith in her husband's abilities never wavered. Even during the most challenging moments, she reminded him that his role as king went beyond words. It was about embodying the spirit and resilience of the nation. Her quiet yet firm encouragement helped Bertie to persevere through his struggles, gradually building the confidence needed to fulfill his duties. The culmination of this effort came during the king's first major address as monarch, his coronation speech in 1937. The world watched anxiously as George VI prepared to speak to his people. Despite his nervousness, Bertie delivered the speech with poise and clarity, an achievement that symbolized his determination and growth. Elizabeth's influence was evident in this triumph, as her steadfast belief in him had given him the strength to rise to the occasion. The importance of George VI's ability to speak effectively became even more evident with the onset of World War II. In this time of crisis, the king's speeches were a beacon of hope and unity for the British people. The most famous of these was his address on September 3, 1939, when Britain declared war on Germany. Broadcast across the nation, the speech was a call for resilience and solidarity. Though the weight of the moment was immense, Bertie's delivery was strong and assured, a testament to his years of hard work and Elizabeth's unwavering support. Elizabeth's role in this chapter of their lives extended beyond her support for Bertie's speech. She understood the symbolic power of the monarchy and worked tirelessly to present a united and approachable image to the public. Her empathy and warmth made her an indispensable partner to the king, and her ability to connect with people from all walks of life reinforced the monarchy's relevance during a time of upheaval. In the private sphere, Elizabeth's influence on Bertie was profound. She created a home environment that was both nurturing and energizing, allowing him to find solace and strength amid the pressures of kingship. Their marriage, built on mutual respect and affection, became a source of stability for the entire royal family. Elizabeth's humor and optimism often lightened the burdens of Bertie's role, helping him to face the challenges of his reign with renewed determination. The story of George VI and his triumph over his speech impediment resonated far beyond the walls of Buckingham Palace. It became a symbol of resilience and perseverance, inspiring people across Britain and the Commonwealth. Elizabeth's role in this journey, while often understated, was pivotal. She was not just a queen consort. She was Bertie's partner in every sense of the word, a source of strength and encouragement that enabled him to succeed against the odds. The partnership between George VI and Elizabeth was a testament to the power of love, trust, and collaboration. Together, they transformed a personal struggle into a story of hope and triumph, embodying the resilience of the British people during one of history's most challenging eras. As the world plunged into war, their unity and determination would become a source of inspiration, guiding the nation through its darkest hours. When Britain declared war on Germany in September 1939, King George VI and Queen Elizabeth faced their greatest test as monarchs. The nation looked to them not just as ceremonial leaders, but as symbols of unity, resilience, and hope. World War II would be a defining chapter in their reign, and Elizabeth's role during this period cemented her legacy as one of the most beloved figures in British history. From the outset, Elizabeth understood the gravity of the war and the importance of the monarchy's role in maintaining morale. She was determined to remain visible and engaged, demonstrating solidarity with the British people during their darkest hours. This commitment was most evident in the couple's decision to remain in London, even as the city became a target for relentless German bombing during the Blitz. When advised to evacuate to Canada for safety, Elizabeth famously declared, "The children won't go without me. I won't leave without the king, and the king will never leave." This statement resonated deeply with the British public, who saw it as a powerful affirmation of shared sacrifice. The royal family's decision to stay at Buckingham Palace, despite the risks, symbolized their commitment to enduring the same hardships as their subjects. The Blitz brought the horrors of war to London's doorstep, with nightly air raids destroying homes, businesses, and entire neighborhoods. Buckingham Palace itself was not spared. It was bombed multiple times during the conflict. On September 13, 1940, a German bomb struck the palace while the king and queen were present. Though they narrowly escaped injury, the incident further strengthened their resolve to stay in the capital. Elizabeth later remarked, "I am glad we have been bombed. It makes me feel we can look the East End in the face." Elizabeth's visits to the East End of London, one of the areas hardest hit by the bombings, became a cornerstone of her wartime efforts. Dressed impeccably in her signature tailored suits and hats, she toured devastated neighborhoods, speaking with survivors and offering comfort. Her presence brought a sense of dignity and reassurance to communities reeling from loss and destruction. To many, Elizabeth represented the indomitable spirit of the nation, a queen who stood alongside her people in their suffering. Beyond London, Elizabeth and George VI made extensive tours of Britain, visiting factories, hospitals, and military installations. These visits were more than ceremonial. They were deliberate acts of encouragement, reminding workers and soldiers alike of the importance of their contributions to the war effort. Elizabeth's genuine interest in the lives of ordinary people endeared her to everyone she met. Her warm smile and thoughtful words were a balm in a time of uncertainty and fear. Elizabeth's role extended to the international stage as well. She and the king maintained close relationships with Allied leaders, including U.S. President Franklin D. Roosevelt. Their friendship, forged during the couple's visit to America in 1939, proved invaluable during the war. Elizabeth's charm and diplomacy played a subtle yet significant role in strengthening the bond between Britain and the United States, a partnership that would become crucial to the Allied victory. At home, Elizabeth was equally committed to supporting the war effort. She took on numerous charitable responsibilities, serving as president of the Women's Voluntary Service and supporting organizations that aided families affected by the war. Her speeches and public appearances emphasized resilience and unity, reinforcing the idea that everyone, regardless of status, had a role to play in the nation's survival. Perhaps Elizabeth's most vital contribution during the war was her unwavering support of George VI. The king, already burdened by the demands of leadership and his ongoing struggle with public speaking, faced immense pressure as the figurehead of a nation at war. Elizabeth's steadfast encouragement and belief in his abilities helped him navigate these challenges with dignity and resolve. Together, they presented a united front that inspired confidence in their subjects. The war years also brought challenges to Elizabeth as a mother. While she and George VI remained in London, their daughters, Princess Elizabeth and Princess Margaret, were sent to Windsor Castle for safety. Despite the physical distance, Elizabeth ensured that her daughters remained connected to the realities of the war. She encouraged them to contribute to the war effort, and Princess Elizabeth, later Queen Elizabeth II, joined the Auxiliary Territorial Service. Learning mechanical and driving skills, Elizabeth's influence in shaping her daughter's sense of duty and responsibility would have lasting effects on their lives. As the war progressed, Elizabeth's role as a unifying figure became increasingly vital. Her speeches, often broadcast on the radio, carried messages of hope and perseverance. In one memorable address, she reminded the nation, "The British character has been tested and not found wanting. We shall go forward together." These words, delivered with her characteristic warmth and sincerity, resonated deeply with a population enduring unimaginable hardships. Victory in Europe came on May 8, 1945, a day of celebration and relief. George VI and Elizabeth appeared on the balcony of Buckingham Palace alongside their daughters, waving to jubilant crowds gathered below. The moment marked the culmination of years of sacrifice and struggle, and the royal family's presence underscored the monarchy's role in uniting the nation during the war. The legacy of Elizabeth's wartime leadership was profound. Her actions during World War II redefined the role of the Queen Consort, demonstrating that the monarchy could be a source of comfort, inspiration, and solidarity. Elizabeth's determination to share in the hardships of her people, her tireless efforts to boost morale, and her unwavering support of her husband cemented her place in history as a symbol of courage and resilience. As Britain emerged from the shadow of war, Elizabeth's influence continued to shape the monarchy and the nation. Her strength during the conflict had not only solidified her bond with the British people, but also set a powerful example of leadership in the face of adversity. In the years to come, her wartime legacy would remain a cornerstone of her enduring reputation as the Queen of Hearts. As the smoke of World War II cleared, the royal family faced the challenge of rebuilding both the nation and the monarchy. For Queen Elizabeth, this period also marked a crucial phase in her role as a mother to Princess Elizabeth and Princess Margaret. Balancing the demands of queenship with her duties as a parent, she focused on instilling values of service, duty, and resilience in her daughters, particularly the young Elizabeth, who was destined to inherit the throne. Princess Elizabeth, born in 1926, had spent much of her childhood under the protective care of her parents. During the war, she and Margaret were sent to Windsor Castle for safety, shielded from the bombings that devastated London. Despite the distance, Queen Elizabeth remained a consistent presence in their lives, ensuring they understood the gravity of the war and the sacrifices being made by the British people. Post-war Britain was a nation in transition, grappling with economic challenges and a changing social landscape. Queen Elizabeth recognized that the monarchy, too, needed to adapt to these new realities. She believed that the royal family must remain connected to the people and grounded in the values of service and compassion. This vision heavily influenced her approach to parenting, particularly in preparing Princess Elizabeth for her future role as queen. From a young age, Princess Elizabeth demonstrated a strong sense of duty and responsibility, qualities nurtured by her mother's example. Queen Elizabeth emphasized the importance of understanding the lives of ordinary citizens, encouraging her daughters to engage with people from all walks of life. She often involved them in charitable activities, fostering a deep sense of empathy and a commitment to public service. Education played a significant role in the upbringing of the young princesses. While their formal schooling was conducted privately at Buckingham Palace and Windsor Castle, Queen Elizabeth ensured that their education extended beyond textbooks. She exposed them to art, history, and culture, often taking them on visits to museums, galleries, and historical sites. These experiences not only enriched their knowledge but also deepened their appreciation for the heritage and traditions of Britain. For Princess Elizabeth, her mother's guidance went beyond academic and cultural lessons. Queen Elizabeth prepared her daughter for the specific responsibilities of queenship, teaching her the intricacies of statecraft and royal protocol. The Queen often included her daughter in informal discussions about current events, ensuring she was aware of the challenges facing the nation and the Commonwealth. These conversations were instrumental in shaping Elizabeth's understanding of her future role as a constitutional monarch. One of the most defining moments in Princess Elizabeth's early development came during the war, when she joined the Auxiliary Territorial Service, ATS. This decision, encouraged by her parents, was a symbolic act of solidarity with the British people. As a member of the ATS, the young princess trained as a mechanic and driver, working alongside other women to support the war effort. Queen Elizabeth was immensely proud of her daughter's service, viewing it as a crucial step in her journey toward queenship. While Queen Elizabeth focused on Princess Elizabeth's preparation for the throne, she also nurtured a close and loving bond with Princess Margaret. Margaret, the younger of the two sisters, was known for her vibrant personality and flair for the dramatic. Queen Elizabeth celebrated Margaret's individuality, ensuring that she felt valued and supported even as her older sister's role as heir became more prominent. This balance between nurturing both daughters' unique qualities was a testament to Elizabeth's skill as a mother. The post-war years also brought personal challenges for Queen Elizabeth as a parent. As Princess Elizabeth grew older, her public role expanded, and her personal life began to attract attention. In 1947, the royal family announced Elizabeth's engagement to Philip Mountbatten, a former prince of Greece and Denmark who had served in the Royal Navy. While the match was celebrated by many, it was not without controversy, as some viewed Philip's foreign background with skepticism. Queen Elizabeth, however, supported her daughter's choice, recognizing the strength of the bond between Elizabeth and Philip. She played a pivotal role in organizing their wedding, ensuring that it was both a celebration of love and a symbol of post-war renewal. The ceremony, held at Westminster Abbey, was broadcast to millions, offering a moment of hope and joy to a nation still recovering from the devastation of war. The marriage of Princess Elizabeth and Philip marked the beginning of a new chapter for the royal family. As the young couple embarked on their life together, Queen Elizabeth continued to provide guidance and support, offering her wisdom and experience as they navigated their roles as public figures. Through her role as a mother, Queen Elizabeth laid the foundation for the future of the monarchy. Her emphasis on duty, compassion, and adaptability shaped Princess Elizabeth into a leader ready to assume the responsibilities of queenship. At the same time, her nurturing and empathetic approach ensured that both of her daughters grew up with a strong sense of individuality and purpose. As the years passed and Princess Elizabeth took on more responsibilities, Queen Elizabeth began to step back from some of her public duties. Yet her influence remained profound, both within her family and in the public's perception of the monarchy. She had successfully prepared her daughters to carry forward the legacy of the royal family, ensuring its continuity and relevance in a rapidly changing world. The role of Queen Elizabeth as a mother was not merely about raising daughters. It was about shaping the next generation of leadership for Britain and the Commonwealth. Her tireless efforts, wisdom, and unwavering dedication to her family and nation left an indelible mark, securing her place as one of the most influential figures in modern royal history. The end of World War II brought relief and celebration to Britain, but it also ushered in a period of profound transformation. For King George VI and Queen Elizabeth, the post-war years were marked by the dual challenges of helping a nation rebuild and navigating the monarchy through a rapidly changing world. During this time, Elizabeth's strength and resilience were indispensable as her husband's health began to decline, and the burden of kingship weighed heavily on their family. The war had left Britain economically devastated, and the monarchy faced new pressures to modernize and connect with the people in more meaningful ways. George VI and Elizabeth worked tirelessly to project an image of stability and continuity. The austerity of the post-war years demanded a more relatable monarchy, and Elizabeth's warmth and approachability made her a beloved figure among the British public. Her knack for connecting with people, coupled with her ability to embody the dignity of her role, ensured the monarchy's relevance in an era of social and political upheaval. Elizabeth continued her extensive public engagements, visiting hospitals, schools, and communities struggling to recover from the war. She championed numerous charitable causes, focusing on social welfare and education. These efforts reinforced her reputation as a queen who genuinely cared for her people. Her presence at public events, always impeccably dressed and with a ready smile, provided a sense of normalcy and optimism. Despite these public successes, life behind palace walls was becoming increasingly challenging. The stress of wartime leadership and the relentless demands of the throne had taken a toll on King George VI's health. Known for his dedication and sense of duty, the king often pushed himself beyond his physical limits. By the late 1940s, he began to show signs of serious health issues, including chronic lung problems and circulatory complications. Elizabeth was deeply concerned about her husband's well-being. She took on more responsibilities to ease his workload, attending engagements on his behalf and ensuring the smooth operation of royal affairs. Her unwavering support during this period was both a source of strength for George VI and a testament to her sense of duty. In private, she encouraged him to prioritize his health, but the king's commitment to his role often made him resistant to rest. The strain on the king's health became increasingly apparent during a royal tour of South Africa in 1947. While the trip was a significant diplomatic success, it left George VI visibly fatigued. Elizabeth, ever the supportive partner, stepped in to take on a more prominent role during the tour, engaging with dignitaries and the public. Her ability to handle such responsibilities with grace and competence highlighted her importance not just as a consort but as a stabilizing figure within the monarchy. In 1951, the king's health took a critical turn. He underwent surgery to remove his left lung, which was found to be cancerous. Elizabeth was by his side throughout his recovery, offering both emotional support and practical assistance. Despite his weakened state, George VI insisted on continuing his duties, determined to fulfill his responsibilities as monarch. Elizabeth, understanding the importance of his public image, carefully managed his schedule, balancing his need for rest with the expectations of his role. As the king's condition worsened, Elizabeth began to prepare their daughter, Princess Elizabeth, for the inevitability of assuming the throne. She shared her insights into the demands of royal life and emphasized the importance of maintaining the monarchy's connection with the people. These discussions were instrumental in shaping Princess Elizabeth's understanding of her future role as queen. The final months of George VI's life were marked by a mixture of quiet family moments and poignant public appearances. In December 1951, the king delivered his traditional Christmas broadcast, a speech that moved the nation with its tone of gratitude and hope. It was clear to all that his strength was fading, and the public sentiment toward the king and queen was one of deep affection and respect. On February 6, 1952, George VI passed away peacefully in his sleep at Sandringham House. His death marked the end of a reign defined by resilience, service, and sacrifice. For Elizabeth, the loss was devastating. She had not only lost her husband but also her partner in the immense responsibility of leading a nation. In the days following the king's death, Elizabeth's composure and dignity were a source of comfort to a grieving nation. She stood by her daughter, now Queen Elizabeth II, as the young monarch took on the mantle of leadership. The transition was seamless, a testament to the careful preparation and guidance provided by Elizabeth during her years as queen consort. The post-war years were a time of profound change and challenge for Queen Elizabeth. Her ability to balance public duties with her role as a wife and mother, while also navigating the pressures of a modernizing monarchy, demonstrated her extraordinary strength and adaptability. Though the passing of George VI marked the end of her time as queen consort, Elizabeth's influence would continue to shape the monarchy for decades to come. Her steadfast dedication during these years not only ensured the monarchy's survival, but also cemented her place as one of the most respected figures in British history. The morning of February 6, 1952, began quietly at Sandringham House, the royal family's beloved estate in Norfolk. King George VI, exhausted by years of service and ill health, passed away peacefully in his sleep at the age of 56. His death, though not entirely unexpected, sent shockwaves through Britain and the Commonwealth. For Queen Elizabeth, the moment marked not just the loss of her husband, but the end of an era defined by their shared devotion to duty and their nation. Elizabeth's grief was profound. George VI had been more than her husband. He had been her partner in every sense, bound together by love, loyalty, and the weight of the crown. Their journey, from their early years as the Duke and Duchess of York, through the abdication crisis, World War II, and the challenges of post-war Britain, had forged an unbreakable bond. His passing left a void in her life, one she would carry with her for the rest of her days. For the nation, the death of George VI was a moment of collective mourning. Despite his initial reluctance to take the throne, he had become a beloved king, admired for his quiet strength and unshakable sense of duty. His leadership during World War II had solidified his place in the hearts of the British people, and his untimely death was felt as a personal loss by millions. As the news spread, tributes poured in from across the globe. Leaders from the Commonwealth and beyond lauded George VI's steadfastness and his role in maintaining unity during turbulent times. Messages of condolence highlighted not only his contributions as a monarch, but also the admiration for the royal partnership he shared with Elizabeth. In the immediate aftermath of her husband's death, Elizabeth maintained her characteristic composure and grace, providing a source of strength for her family and the nation. Her first concern was her daughter, now Queen Elizabeth II, who was abroad in Kenya at the time of the king's passing. The transition of power was seamless, a testament to the careful preparation instilled by both George VI and Elizabeth during the previous decade. The journey back to London for George VI's state funeral was a solemn and deeply emotional affair. Draped in black, Elizabeth accompanied the king's coffin as it was transported to Westminster Hall, where it lay in state for 3 days. Thousands of mourners lined the streets to pay their respects, a vivid testament to the deep affection the public held for their king and queen. The funeral, held at St. George's Chapel in Windsor Castle, was a moving ceremony attended by dignitaries from around the world. As the cortege made its way through the castle grounds, the tolling of bells and the solemn silence of the crowd underscored the weight of the occasion. For Elizabeth, the moment was both a public farewell to her husband and a private acknowledgement of the end of a chapter in her life. In the weeks and months that followed, Elizabeth faced the challenge of navigating life without her husband while supporting her daughter in her new role as queen. Her grief was immense, but she channeled her energy into guiding and mentoring the young Elizabeth II. She understood the enormity of the task that lay ahead for her daughter and was determined to provide a steadying presence during the transition. Elizabeth's new role as the Queen Mother was formalized shortly after George VI's death, and it was a title she embraced with dignity and purpose. Recognizing the monarchy's need for continuity and stability, she continued to carry out public engagements, offering a reassuring presence to the nation. Her warm and approachable demeanor, which had endeared her to the public during her years as Queen Consort, remained a hallmark of her public life. Privately, Elizabeth found solace in her family, particularly her daughters and grandchildren. She was a devoted grandmother, often delighting in the company of the young Prince Charles and Princess Anne. Her relationship with Queen Elizabeth II deepened during this time, as the two women relied on each other for support and counsel. While Elizabeth II had her own vision for the monarchy, she frequently sought her mother's advice, valuing her wisdom and experience. The transition from Queen Consort to Queen Mother was not without its challenges. Elizabeth had to adjust to a life without the daily partnership of George VI, and the demands of her new role required a delicate balance between public service and personal healing. Yet she approached this phase of her life with the same resilience and determination that had defined her earlier years. George VI's death marked the end of a transformative reign, but it also highlighted the enduring strength of the royal family. Elizabeth's unwavering dedication to her family and her people ensured that the monarchy remained a source of unity and inspiration. Her ability to navigate the complexities of grief and leadership set an example for future generations of royals and cemented her place as a cherished figure in British history. As the Queen Mother, Elizabeth continued to build on the legacy she and George VI had created, shaping the monarchy for decades to come. Her steadfast presence during this period of change reinforced her reputation as a symbol of continuity and grace, a role she would embody until the end of her remarkable life. As the Queen Mother, Elizabeth Bowes-Lyon entered a new chapter of her life following the death of King George VI. Freed from the immediate pressures of queenship yet still deeply connected to the monarchy, she became a pillar of support for her daughter, Queen Elizabeth II, and a beloved figure in British public life. Her role in the modern era was marked by her ability to adapt to changing times while maintaining the dignity and traditions of the monarchy. The transition to her new role was seamless, reflecting Elizabeth's innate understanding of the monarchy's need for continuity. She embraced the title of Queen Mother with pride, recognizing the unique position it afforded her to influence and support the royal family. In the early years of her daughter's reign, Elizabeth played a crucial mentoring role, offering guidance on everything from statecraft to ceremonial duties. Queen Elizabeth II valued her mother's counsel, often seeking her advice on matters of diplomacy and public relations. Publicly, the Queen Mother remained one of the most visible and admired members of the royal family. Her engagements took her across Britain and the Commonwealth, where she continued to connect with people from all walks of life. Her visits to communities, hospitals, and schools demonstrated her enduring commitment to public service. Whether opening a new hospital wing or chatting with children at a school, Elizabeth's warmth and genuine interest made her a cherished presence. Elizabeth's popularity was particularly evident during times of national celebration. Her attendance at events such as royal weddings, state ceremonies, and military parades was a source of joy for many. Her charm and sense of humor remained intact, endearing her to younger generations who admired her resilience and approachability. She became a symbol of stability in an era of rapid social and political change, bridging the traditions of the past with the realities of the modern world. Behind the scenes, Elizabeth's influence on the royal family remained significant. She was a devoted grandmother, forging close relationships with her grandchildren, particularly Prince Charles. Her bond with Charles was especially meaningful, as she provided him with a sense of stability and affection during his formative years. Elizabeth's influence on Charles was evident in his deep respect for tradition and his commitment to public service. The Queen Mother's life in the modern era was not without its challenges. The 1960s and 1970s brought a wave of social change that questioned the relevance of the monarchy. Elizabeth, however, was unwavering in her belief in the institution. She played a key role in helping the royal family navigate these shifts, advocating for greater accessibility and engagement with the public. Her efforts to modernize the monarchy while preserving its core values helped to maintain its place in British society. One of Elizabeth's defining qualities was her ability to adapt while staying true to her principles. She recognized the importance of embracing change without losing sight of the monarchy's heritage. This balance was evident in her public appearances, which often blended traditional royal pageantry with a personal touch that resonated with contemporary audiences. In her later years, Elizabeth faced personal losses, including the death of her youngest daughter, Princess Margaret, in 2002. Despite these hardships, she remained a source of strength for the royal family and continued her public duties with remarkable energy. Her resilience in the face of adversity further endeared her to the public, who admired her unwavering dedication to her role. Elizabeth's contributions as the Queen Mother extended beyond her personal influence. She was a patron of numerous charities and cultural organizations, using her position to advocate for causes close to her heart. Her support for the arts, healthcare, and education left a lasting impact, reflecting her lifelong commitment to improving the lives of others. As the years passed, Elizabeth became a living link to a bygone era, a figure who had witnessed and shaped some of the most significant events of the 20th century. Her presence at royal events, often accompanied by her trademark smile and elegant hats, became a comforting symbol of continuity for the British people. In 2000, the Queen Mother celebrated her 100th birthday, an occasion marked by nationwide celebrations and heartfelt tributes. Her longevity and enduring popularity were testaments to her unique place in the hearts of the British public. The centenary celebrations included a grand parade and messages from across the Commonwealth, reflecting the widespread affection for Elizabeth and her contributions to the monarchy and society. The modern era saw Elizabeth Bowes-Lyon not only as a figure of historical significance, but also as a cherished member of the royal family who had successfully navigated the complexities of a changing world. Her ability to connect with people, her steadfast support for her family, and her commitment to public service ensured her enduring legacy as the Queen Mother. Her role in shaping the monarchy for the modern age would be remembered as one of her greatest achievements. Elizabeth Bowes-Lyon's life spanned more than a century, making her a living witness to profound changes in British society, the monarchy, and the world. By the time she celebrated her 100th birthday in 2000, she had become a symbol of resilience, grace, and continuity. Her final decades were marked by her enduring commitment to service, her wisdom, and her ability to connect with generations young and old. The Queen Mother's centenary year was a grand celebration of her life and legacy. Festivities included a spectacular parade in London, attended by members of the royal family, government officials, and cheering crowds. Messages of congratulations poured in from around the world, with leaders and citizens alike honoring her remarkable contributions to the monarchy and her steadfast presence during some of Britain's most challenging times. The centerpiece of the celebration was a public appearance on the balcony of Buckingham Palace, where Elizabeth, accompanied by her daughter, Queen Elizabeth II, and other members of the royal family, waved to the adoring crowds. Her characteristic smile and vibrant spirit belied her age, reaffirming her place as one of the most beloved members of the royal family. Throughout her later years, Elizabeth continued to play an active role in royal life. Despite the physical challenges that came with advancing age, she attended public engagements, charity events, and family gatherings, often becoming the heart of the occasion. Her presence at royal weddings, jubilees, and state ceremonies brought a sense of continuity and tradition, linking the modern monarchy to its storied past. Elizabeth's wisdom, gleaned from decades of experience, was invaluable to the royal family. She offered guidance and support to her grandchildren, including Prince Charles, who often sought her counsel on personal and public matters. Her perspective, shaped by her own life as a queen consort and later as the Queen Mother, helped younger generations navigate the complexities of royal duties. In private, Elizabeth was a source of warmth and humor for her family. Her love of storytelling, her wit, and her ability to find joy in simple pleasures made her a cherished presence at family gatherings. She had a special bond with her great-grandchildren, delighting in their company and sharing with them her tales of a bygone era. Elizabeth's public image as a steadfast and approachable figure extended to her philanthropic work. Even in her later years, she remained an active patron of numerous charities and organizations. Her dedication to causes such as healthcare, education, and the arts left a lasting impact, and her presence at charity events continued to inspire and uplift those she met. As the Queen Mother entered her second century, her health began to decline, but her spirit remained undimmed. She faced personal losses, including the death of her youngest daughter, Princess Margaret, in February 2002. Despite her grief, Elizabeth attended Margaret's funeral, displaying the same resilience that had defined her life. The loss of her daughter was a poignant reminder of the passage of time, but Elizabeth found comfort in her family and the love of the public. Elizabeth Bowes-Lyon's life came to an end on March 30th, 2002. At the age of 101, she passed away peacefully at the Royal Lodge in Windsor, surrounded by those who loved her. Her death marked the conclusion of a remarkable life that had spanned 3 centuries, encompassing 2 world wars, the abdication crisis, the reign of her husband, and the reign of her daughter. The Queen Mother's funeral, held at Westminster Abbey, was a grand and solemn occasion attended by dignitaries, family members, and representatives of the British public. The outpouring of grief and gratitude from people across the Commonwealth reflected the deep affection in which she was held. As her coffin made its final journey to St. George's Chapel at Windsor Castle, mourners lined the streets, paying their respects to a woman who had given so much to her family, her nation, and the world. Elizabeth's legacy is one of unwavering dedication, strength, and compassion. She guided the monarchy through some of its most turbulent times, offering wisdom and support to her family while connecting with the public in a way few royals ever have. Her life was a testament to the enduring power of grace and resilience, and her contributions to the monarchy ensured its survival and relevance in the modern age. As the world remembered Elizabeth Bowes-Lyon, the Queen Mother, her life stood as a shining example of leadership, service, and humanity. She left behind a royal family strengthened by her influence and a nation forever grateful for her steadfast presence during its most challenging moments. Her story, rich with triumphs and trials, will be told for generations to come as a reminder of the quiet power of duty and devotion. Elizabeth Bowes-Lyon, the Queen Mother, lived a life that bridged 3 centuries, encompassing some of the most pivotal moments in modern history. Her journey, from a young Scottish aristocrat to a beloved queen consort and, ultimately, the matriarch of the royal family, was marked by an unwavering sense of duty, resilience, and grace. In her passing, she left a legacy that continues to shape the monarchy and inspire those who look to the royal family as a symbol of unity and strength. Elizabeth's impact on the monarchy is immeasurable. She entered royal life during a period of upheaval, as the abdication crisis threatened the institution's stability. With her steadfast support, she helped King George VI navigate the challenges of his reign, guiding him through the trials of World War II and the post-war recovery. Her ability to connect with the public, her charm, and her empathy transformed the perception of the monarchy, making it more accessible and relatable. Her influence extended beyond her husband's reign. As the mother of Queen Elizabeth II, she played a pivotal role in shaping the next generation of leadership. Her wisdom, experience, and guidance prepared her daughter to assume the throne and navigate the complexities of modern monarchy. The values she instilled in her children and grandchildren, duty, compassion, and resilience, remain cornerstones of the royal family's approach to service. Elizabeth's legacy also lies in her ability to adapt to change while preserving tradition. Throughout her life, she balanced the demands of modernity with the expectations of royal protocol, ensuring the monarchy's relevance in an ever-changing world. Her commitment to public service, her advocacy for charitable causes, and her tireless engagement with communities across Britain and the Commonwealth made her a symbol of continuity and stability. The Queen Mother's enduring popularity was a testament to her unique ability to connect with people from all walks of life. Her warmth, wit, and approachable demeanor made her a beloved figure, not just in Britain but across the world. She embodied the qualities of a true leader: compassion, strength, and an unwavering dedication to her role. In death, as in life, Elizabeth Bowes-Lyon was celebrated as a figure of immense historical significance and personal charm. Her funeral in 2002 was a moment of national mourning and reflection, a chance for the nation and the world to honor her contributions to the monarchy and her steadfast presence during times of crisis. The tributes paid to her by leaders, citizens, and family members alike reflected the profound impact she had on all who knew her or were touched by her example. Elizabeth's story is not just the tale of a queen consort or a queen mother. It is the story of a woman who rose to every challenge with courage and grace. Her life reminds us of the quiet power of perseverance and the enduring strength of love and partnership. From the halls of Glamis Castle to the grandeur of Buckingham Palace, her journey was one of service, sacrifice, and an unyielding commitment to her family and her people. As the pages of history turn, the legacy of Elizabeth Bowes-Lyon remains firmly etched in the hearts and minds of those who remember her. She was a queen, a mother, a grandmother, and above all, a servant of the nation. Her life, rich in history and humanity, will continue to inspire future generations to face challenges with dignity and to serve others with kindness and humility. In the annals of the British monarchy, Elizabeth Bowes-Lyon will forever be remembered as the queen who steadied a kingdom and left a legacy of unshakable grace.